Quellegistes. A finals de maig es va celebrar a Vilanova i la Geltrú la CatCon, la convenció catalana anual de gèneres fantàstics, i vaig tenir l'oportunitat d'entrevistar a una de les convidades d'honor, l'autora coreà-estatunidenca Axie Oh. Fa uns anys que l'editorial Elastic Books ha estat traduint els seus bestsellers, que inclouen novel·les romàntiques contemporànies i retellings de fantasia com La noia que es va entregar al mar, on la protagonista viatja al regne dels esperits sota el mar per salvar la seva llar i despertar el déu del mar del seu son màgic. Més recentment, aquest 2026 s'acaba de traduir al català El dimoni i la llum, la segona part de El MÓN FLOTANT, una història d'amor i fantasia on un mercenari amb amnèsia i un artista itinerant amb poders misteriosos canviaran el destí de diversos mons.
Axie, thank you so much for sharing a few minutes with me during your stay here at the CatCon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, let's dive straight into it. Your fantasy books are retellings of classic Korean folk tales. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a retelling of the tale of Shing-chong, and The Floating World is based on the tale of the Heavenly Maiden and the Woodcutter. Every retelling begins with a question: what if? For example, what if things didn't go exactly as we've been told? So, which what ifs inspired you to write these books?
Yes, for The Girl Fell Beneath the Sea, it was a what if the main character of a Shim-chang retelling wasn't Shim-chang. And so that book, Shim-chang is a side character, but the main character is an original character I created named Mina. And the reason I did that is because if I told Shim-chang to you, I could tell you the whole tale in maybe a couple minutes because it's an oral story anyway, so it's not very long. But I wanted more content for my book. And so it was sort of what if Shim-chang was a side character, but the story was longer. And then for The Heavenly Maiden and the Woodcutter, I wanted to tell a story of what if the descendants of the Heavenly Maiden were the heroes of the story. So I want to tell a story of like a girl with powers.
I see. In fact, the Heavenly Maiden and the Woodcutter reminded me of a Catalan legend about the Alojas, or as we call them, water maidens. That they look like beautiful women and they live in splendid palaces, inside secret caves, near streams or rivers. And on full moon nights, they go out into the world to do laundry and bathe, sing and dance. And whoever can take a piece of clothing from them will be always lucky. They say that once upon a time, a water maiden married a man. She only had one condition: to remain by his side. He would never call her water maiden again. They had a happy life, but one day, in the middle of a heated argument, the man cried, "Oh, you have to be a water maiden!" So the wife immediately disappeared forever. It's amazing how some folk tales around the world have so much in common, right?
Yes, yeah, that's similar to the Heavenly Maiden story, which is Heavenly Maidens are like a legend, like they're a type of supernatural being who are the daughters of heaven. And they come down from the heavens and they bathe in waterfall pools. And the reason for Korean, the reason it's a legend for Korea is because of the geography. So I'm sure it's similar for Catalan, but for Korea, because Korea is a very mountainous country and there's a lot of waterfalls in the mountains with pools and they're like kind of hidden. There's this legend that women come down, they bathe in the waterfall pools, and they take off their wings or their robes, and they put it on the bough of a pine tree very specifically. And then in the folktale, Woodcutter comes and steals the robe of the youngest Heavenly Maiden, and he like makes her his bride. So similar to like a Swan Maiden story, where like her powers are attached to her robes or her wings. In my story, they're like actual wings. So it's so interesting that there's that correlation. I wonder if, like, for Korea, it has to do with geography. It has to do with the idea of, like, there's just so many waterfall pools. Maybe it's similar, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. That always women are related to earth, to nature, and everything that surrounds them. So that totally makes sense. And I have to say that for me, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea the first one that was translated into Catalan, was so refreshing to read because I was used to reading retellings of European legends. I think that American and European readers sometimes forget that there's so many other cultures that have rich and fascinating folklore, right?
Yes. That folktale was something that I grew up I grew up with that story. I had a picture book called The Chimchong and the River Dragon, and there's this beautiful little chapter book that had pictures in it. And so I've always known about that story growing up, alongside stories like Snow White, Cinderella, because obviously those are like Disney movies, but they're very common in the Western world. And so I wanted to see more stories from, for me specifically Korean culture, because I grew up with them, but I wasn't seeing them in books or in films. But yeah, I think that I loved folktales and fairy tales growing up. And so, just like you were saying earlier about Catalan myths and legends, I was like, I want to know more. I want to see more, read more of those sort of stories too.
What other legends or mythologies captivate you? You were telling me about some classics, but what other legends do you really like?
I really love the legend of the Gumiho, which is a nine-tailed fox. Yes, yeah. So they have that in Japan too, as a kitsune, and they have it in China too. And I just love an idea of like a nine-tailed fox. They're actually usually villains in old stories, like the classic version of a nine-tailed fox, because they're foxes that turn into women who eat liver of men. Yeah, and then I was like, why is she a villain? It's actually a lot of retellings and reimagine that character as more have like more black, white, gray area character, a more complicated, complex character. I love that. More feminist take on those stories are some of my favorite stories. In Korean, especially Korean mythology, I think Japanese, they're usually men, kitsune are men, but in Korean mythology, they're women. And I really love tales of dragons, obviously.
Which is also very interesting how dragons change around how they're depicted, what they mean. For example, in Europe, they're fire-breathing, they're normally very evil. But then when you go to Asia, to China, they're wise, they're jaguars, gentle, they're associated with water and wind. They're usually kings of the sea or rivers. And they always have a pearl. So even in China and Japan, in Korea, dragon's magic is held within a pearl. If you go to any temple in Korea, you'll see a statue of a dragon. It's usually holding a pearl. Yep.
And so I played with that in The Girl Fell Beneath the Sea. The idea of the magic is within the pearl that they hold. And yes, dragons are very wise. And I love that. I love the differences in dragons around the world. I also love a Western dragon. I love a fire-breathing, treasure-hoarding dragon. I was like, that would be me, probably. That's the real. I'd be like, oh, treasure, yeah. I would aspire to wisdom, though.
Let's have the best of both. We'll tell you about. Dragon that has both. A bit of everything.
Yeah.
I agree. So let's go back to the floating world. I wanted to know, was it always meant to be a duology?
Oh, yes. We sold it as a duology. So I knew from the beginning that I could do a cliffhanger ending. I knew from the beginning that it would be 2 books. So there was a lot of fun that could be had with the first book, where I could put in hints of what's to come. And I knew who the big baddie would be in the second book, which was really fun. And it's sort of like a video game where it's you kind of have to defeat villains who get stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's kind of leveling up.
And I have to say, you have created so many complex characters, secondary characters, that I think they deserve a spin-off. Have you thought about it?
That'd be fun. I mean, at this point, when it's a spin-off, I feel like after they go through all of the suffering, it just wanted to be the next one was a comedy.
Take a rest.
It's cozy. It's now a cozy fantasy where they're just enjoying life. Yeah,
I would miss that.
Yeah.
I agree. And which scenes do you enjoy writing the most? The love and yearning ones, or the battle scenes?
Oh, that's so hard. It's it's like, I guess it's all mood dependent. I always do love a love and yearning scene to write and to read. I love any kind of emotional scene, but they are hard to write. I kind of want to try to be in the emotions when I write them. But battle scenes are more fun, and I usually will put on a big like battle soundtrack. Yeah, and then I'll like write it as fast as possible because I want to like really get the scene down, and then I'll go back and revise it to make sure like everyone knows where the sword is, you know.
I have to say, I also love to write, and I've also written like a battle scene. Also, it's so difficult because
it's like choreography.
I have to make sure the reader knows what's going on at all times.
How many times can you say the word sword? You have to be like, how many times can you say like, you know, like whatever the word is? You have to be like kind of, you know, creative and how they're even battling.
Synonyms of
the fight stuff. Yeah. They're fun. Yeah, but I think probably I enjoy most romance scenes. It's just so much fun to read and to write.
Yeah, I agree. And what is your most unhinged writing habit?
Unhinged writing habit?
Or surprising, different?
Oh, I draft, single space, no indents. Okay, and no dialogue tags. So it'll like the whole book will be like just
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because I want it to feel messy the first time, so that I can make it so I don't feel I have to perfect it. So I want it to be as messy as possible so that I don't feel like I need to revise it and make it. Otherwise, I feel like it'll stop me from going forward. So I make it as messy as I do it that way. And then it also helps me because when I revise it, I have to clean it up. So I have to put indents, I have to make paragraph breaks, I have to put the quotations, and that helps me organize it in my mind the second time and see it new the second time.
Oh, I think it's the first time the writer has told me that they do that. Of course. But I like it, because I totally agree. I think when you're writing the first, you just have to go on.
You can't keep on revising or you'll never finish it. Like as you go. Eventually you revise it. But in the beginning, I always try to draft as quickly as possible so that I don't stop myself.
Perfection is your worst enemy.
Yes, agreed.
I like that. That habit. Axie, you have also written contemporary romance and dystopian books. But you have said your favorite genre to write is fantasy, although it's also the most challenging to write. Why do you think so?
Oh, I just think there's a lot of world building involved. There's so many, like you're not just thinking, so usually with contemporary, there's a starting point, like everyone knows what a train is. You know, everyone knows, I mean, it depends. It depends, like everyone, you know, like you can know what a car is, you know. You can know what a build, like a house might look like, depending on the country. But with fantasy, you have to start from nothing because a train could look, you know, you never know what train looks like in a fantasy world. You kind of have to describe everything. So there's a lot of that too. And then there's just so much, those magic systems are so difficult. You need rules, and if you're going to break the rule, you really need to show why you're breaking it. But there's just a lot more that goes on, I think, in a fantasy as opposed to a contemporary. Although I find contemporary challenging because everything has to be accurate.
That's true. So, do you have more fun creating the world or writing the stories in it?
Oh, writing the story. I do love creating the world, but I usually actually will create the world while writing the story. So I don't want to know everything from the beginning because I want to discover. That's why I do the fast draft. So I'm trying to discover as fast as possible. And at the end, once I know everything, then I can really build it up and then rewrite or like revise the story with everything that I have.
That's a good strategy. I like it. So, you were saying that you would like to become a fire-breathing dragon if you could. But if you could choose between Sun Ho and Ren's powers, which one would you like to have?
Oh, Ren's.
It's so elegant and classy. Very classy power. If you could control it, I mean, the secrets are very
his are very cool. I feel like his are like demon powers, and he also has like, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but he has like demon powers. He gets more transformative powers later. But I think Ren's are very like Sailor Moon-esque. So they're very light power based, and they're sort of like celestial, and so and she can do things that are fun. I don't want to spoil it, but she can do things that are really fun that you would think celestial maidens can do, and so I think I would want her powers more, and like she wears fun outfits, like she wears a lot of beautiful dresses and stuff like that, so yeah.
I agree. Oh, if I could have a bit of both?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true if you can have both powers. Yeah, because his powers are fun too. His skills are really fun because he's a very good sword fighter.
Fast.
Strong. Yeah.
Feels very fast.
Yeah, he's very like shonen anime hero. And I think, I think that's fun. Like just having those powers just to be really strong.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, I think this one's going to be a difficult question. I don't know. Okay. But now that we're imagining stuff, what if you swapped the characters of your contemporary romance books with the characters of your fantasy books? Okay. How do you think they would react? So, who would thrive in a new world?
Who would thrive? Okay, so I'm thinking, so I have XOXO and ASAP are my two contemporary books, and they're K-pop books. And I think the protagonists of the second book, ASAP, would do really well in a fantasy world. Because the girl, Sori, she's like a rich girl, and she's very beautiful, and she's very confident. Outwardly, actually inwardly she's not. She's kind of like, don't hurt me, but she presents very strongly, and I think she'd be like kind of like people will leave her alone because she's so badass looking, at least. And then Nathaniel is her love interest in that book. He's very playful and outgoing, so I think he would do well in the fantasy world because people would just gravitate toward him, and he would just have fun. He's a really good dancer, so I feel like that would help with like fighting maybe. I mean, all my fantasy characters would just love a contemporary work because they're not in danger. They'd all thrive. They'd all be like, Mina from The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, she'd be like, I want to go to a sauna. She'd be like, I want to go shopping. Like, Ren would probably be like, I just want to go eat. Yeah. I just want to go to a restaurant. I want to go to a cafe. Sana would be like, I just want to sleep. So I think it's just like, it's just, I think everyone would excel. Everyone would do well in a contemporary world from my fantasy.
Wow, I love it. It's very clear. I love it. So, Axie, last but not least, is there a question you have not been asked yet and you'd like to answer?
Oh, that's a harder question. Yeah. A question I haven't been asked that I would like to answer. What else do I want to read? Let's do it that way. Like, what do I want to read in another genre, another gauge? Because for writing, it's like, there's so many different things. But like what we were talking about earlier, I would love to read stories from, is it like Catalan culture? Is that how I would say it? Yeah, I would love to read more stories about Catalan culture. A lot of the people at this conference were telling me last night about some of your festivals, about the one that's coming up, that's where you burn a bonfire on and throw like negative things into the fire and then also wish for a good upcoming year, like things like that. I was like, I would love to see that in a book, like even a contemporary romance where they go to that festival and they're like maybe they meet in the water, I don't know, something. I was like, I would love to read a story, like just learn more about those sort of traditions because I didn't know them until yesterday, and I think every time I learn about a new tradition, it's so interesting and fascinating to me. And whenever I go to new countries, I love to see watch the museum, look in the museums, and explore. And I just think sometimes I can't go there, so it'd be great to read about it. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I think it was Emily Dickinson that said that the best way to travel is a book. So,
she knows.
So, Axie, thank you so much for making us travel as well with your books and helping us discover so many of the legends and myths, as I said. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your stay here at the CatCon.
Thank you.